Currently, Southeast Asia has a lower number of COVID-19 infections than the United States, Italy, and Spain. However, this is likely to change in the near future as the pandemic begins to sweep through millions of poor and disadvantaged people across ASEAN countries. In particular, this pandemic can exacerbate existing inequalities, from virus infection, how to survive, to dealing with severe economic consequences. The policy response needs to ensure support is at hand to workers and businesses who are in need of help. Governments of ASEAN countries, including Viet Nam, have quickly invested in strengthening and expanding social protection systems and expanding access to essential services such as health, education, water, and sanitation, with the goal of both drastically preventing and controlling diseases and maintaining production and business activities and maintaining social stability. The government believes that it is necessary to promptly issue direct support policies for disadvantaged people, low-incomers, jobless people who are affected by COVID-19 in the spirit of leaving no one behind. Greetings from Sharing Việt Nam on VTC10 Netviet. The COVID-19 epidemic is having a major impact on everyone, including vulnerable and disadvantaged people, such as pregnant women, the elderly, people with disabilities, and so on. The Vietnamese government is focusing on slowing down the spread of COVID-19, but what is equally important is increasing social protection for the disadvantaged people. This is also the main content of our program today. The guest who will be joining us today is Ms. Naomi Kitahara, Chief Representative of United Nations Population Fund in Vietnam. So thank you, Ms. Naomi Kitahara, for joining our interview today. Protecting all people's health during the COVID-19 epidemic is the top priority of the government. Why do we need to ensure continuous access to maternal health, sexual and reproductive health services in Vietnam amid the growing COVID-19 epidemic?
In difficult situations like this, pregnancy and childbirth do not stop. We cannot stop pregnancy and childbirth. Women will progress with their pregnancies, and babies will be born as scheduled, as planned. So, but then the country's situation becomes challenging in COVID-19 situation because the health system will be overloaded and pressure becomes higher, and then a lot of human resources can be mobilized to deal with the virus situation. But then that doesn't mean that women who are pregnant or planning for pregnancy, or even healthcare service providers who provide services for pregnant women don't need to be there. And so, with that sort of life critical events like pregnancy and childbirth, services and care have to continue to be provided to women. And that's very, very important for safe delivery and safe motherhood of the population in Vietnam.
In what ways can this epidemic disrupt access to life-saving sexual and reproductive health services and limit authorities' ability to respond to gender-based violence?
So women have to continue with their antenatal care services, and women have to know about some of the danger signs of the pregnancy and childbirth, and those information and care can only be provided by the health system. And that's where the services and the system have to continue to function for women. And then often in challenging situations like this, and in a COVID-19 situation in particular, supply chain can be disrupted. And then, I'm not talking just in Vietnam's case, but then globally, because there is a global supply chain for reproductive health commodities. And those can be disrupted. So it's very important that we take any precautionary measures to make sure that reproductive health commodities such as essential care services as well as the contraceptives and antiseptics and so forth can be all available to women. And then another element which you mentioned is actually violence against women and gender-based violence. There has been increased evidence coming globally that in the stay-home environment, often the violence becomes more and more we see. And because also people are confined at home, it becomes very difficult for victims to seek support and help. And this is the area that we need to pay particular attention to. And necessary care in a very innovative way has to be provided to victims who are often women and girls.
Like many other emergencies, the COVID-19 epidemic can prevent access to essential reproductive health care services and reduce the ability of the governments to respond to gender-based violence in the very moment women and girls really need these services. The government of Vietnam is working with partners to meet the needs and protect the vulnerable in society, especially pregnant women, the elderly and health workers. In particular, an important goal is to set out that no mother dies during pregnancy, childbirth, all family planning needs are met, and there is no gender violence.
Khi mà một cái thai phụ nếu mà không may bị Covid-19 á, thì có việc quan trọng là mình dự phòng cái thai phụ này có thể là lây nhiễm cho những cái người khác ở trong cái môi trường bệnh viện. Việc thứ hai là làm sao để đảm bảo cái sức khỏe cho thai phụ cũng như là bào thai cũng như là đứa trẻ được sinh ra. Thì cái nguyên tắc chung chúng ta cũng là làm sao mà khi có một cái người nhiễm Covid-19 thì khi mà vào cơ sở y tế thì cái người này phải được phát hiện sớm và cách ly ngay. Và trong cái quá trình cách ly thì di chuyển cũng theo một cái luồng riêng, và khi mà cách ly thì sẽ được điều trị ở một cái nơi riêng biệt, mà nơi đó có đầy đủ phương tiện để cho bà mẹ theo dõi sức khỏe, cũng như là nếu mà quá trình thực hiện những cái thủ thuật như là sanh hoặc sanh thường hoặc là sanh mổ thì tất cả chúng ta có những cái phương tiện để giúp cho người sản phụ có thể là sinh đẻ an toàn.
Đối với những trường hợp mà nghi ngờ mắc Covid-19 hay là nghi ngờ trong vùng dịch tễ thì chúng tôi có bố trí một phòng sanh riêng và ekip trực riêng. Sau đó thì sau khi sanh thì dưỡng nhi sẽ là nơi sẽ nhận cháu bé về để mà chăm sóc riêng. Đối với những trường hợp mà không có yếu tố nghi ngờ, không có yếu tố dịch tễ thì chúng tôi cho nằm chung ở một khu và phân bố những cái giường bàn sanh cách xa nhau, và để đảm bảo làm sao giãn cách xã hội ít nhất là phải 2 mét.
The COVID-19 epidemic has affected the lives of the disadvantaged in society, the elderly, pregnant women, etc. Therefore, the government must find ways to support the disadvantaged people to overcome the difficulties, ensuring a minimum life, not letting disadvantaged people suffer, as well as continuing to support laborers to continue the country's social economic development.
Cái số bây giờ là không có bán nữa, không có làm cái gì mà làm kiếm tiền sống được. Máu cô hàng thấy như gì là cô hàng máu cho mượn tiền, rồi mua cái sáng này ở dưới Tây Ninh nó chở lên nó cho tiền xe, nó bán 350 ngàn một ký thì tôi bán lại là 5 ngàn, tôi kiếm được 1,5 ngàn tôi sống. Chứ giờ không biết làm cái gì là sống hết. Phải có tay có chân thì đi làm này làm nọ cũng được, cái này là không tay không chân, không có làm gì được.
Since the first positive case was detected, the Vietnamese government has taken an aggressive action plan to prevent the COVID-19 epidemic. Up to now, the number of positive cases in Vietnam has increased to over 260 cases. Many recently discovered positive cases in Hanoi are related to health facilities. Strict adherence to COVID-19 infection control measures at this stage is important to ensure the safety of all citizens. Hello and welcome back to the online interview with Ms. Naomi Kitahara, the Chief Representative of UNFPA here in Viet Nam. So as far as we know, in recent days, your organization is supporting Viet Nam on the topic of protecting the vulnerable groups amid the COVID-19 pandemic. So can you share more with us about this support?
As the very initial stage and as a very rapid response, we did the phase 1 support, which is to provide sanitizers to obstetrics and gynecological departments of National Hospital, Hanoi Hospital, and some of the district hospitals. And that is really to make sure that the women who are pregnant and the women who are planning for pregnancy, as well as medical personnel, frontliners operating there, are protected from the virus. And so we provided 7,000 bottles of sanitizers through the Ministry of Health channels. And then also we should take note of the fact that 70% of the medical personnel, so we are talking about doctors, nurses, and midwives, they are women. And so, we really wanted to make sure that those frontliners are fully protected from the virus and continue to provide normal functions of the sexual and reproductive health in this very challenging environment. So that was our first initial support, but more to come. We are in negotiation with our external partners to join forces to address the gender-based violence issues. And also, we have provided some knowledge products and the guidance notes to the Ministry of Labor to make sure that the care to the elderly population is provided. And as you know, in COVID-19, elderly populations are high-risk groups, and their rights and their needs have to be fully catered for, as well as, again, service providers for the elderly populations have to be fully protected. So there are various aspects that we need to look at in support for elderly population, noting that Vietnam is progressing into aging society at a very rapid speed.
What is your recommendation for Vietnam in terms of protecting the vulnerable groups, including the pregnant women and the health workers?
I think the first and foremost, sexual reproductive health services have to continue to be provided just as before the arrival of the virus, and that's really essential. And if we have pregnant women who are showing some symptoms, they have to be tested for coronavirus as a priority target. And that's very important. That's the very first step that we have to take to make sure that pregnant women are fully protected.
Once again, thank you, Ms. Naomi Kitahara, for joining our interview today. And we hope that everyone will stay safe and we will together win over the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you. You too.
The COVID-19 pandemic is a crisis for the poor and vulnerable communities such as migrant workers, ethnic minorities, the elderly, and people with disabilities. Women and girls are also vulnerable to domestic violence and the burden of housework. Vietnam has immediately issued policies to directly support the disadvantaged people in the society. However, this needs the cooperation of all individuals and organizations. In this way, Vietnam, like many other countries, can minimize the damage from COVID-19 pandemic, especially minimizing the impact on the poor and vulnerable groups. And that's all we have for this episode of Sharing Vietnam today. Thank you for watching and goodbye for now.